The Oklahoma Sooners have become quite comfortable in an underdog role, and they'll have to do it once again against Alabama, and that ain't no problem.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, now the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire, and on today's show, Bedlam, anybody? Eric, new Oklahoma State head coach Eric Morris had something to say about that. We got some Oklahoma Sooners starting to get some recognition in some postseason awards. But let's start here, Jay, because the Oklahoma Sooners at home against a team that they beat while on the road will be an underdog to the Alabama Crimson Tide right now by 1.5 points.
Yeah, Vegas is still very high on Alabama and their roster right now, and they still aren't sold on Oklahoma's offense as of yet. But the spread being at 1.5 kind of checks out to what I kind of expected. I kind of thought that Alabama would be like a 4.5 point favorite just because their offense has shown some things, but and their defense is good enough. But if we really think about it, as bad as the run game has been for Alabama over the last few weeks, I am thoroughly surprised that they actually would give Alabama this favorite. Vegas must think and feel something, or they have no clue what to think in this game. And honestly, I'm leaning towards that. I don't think they really know who they should feel the most comfortable with, Oklahoma's offense or Alabama's run game.
So there's a lot of discussion about Oklahoma, and there's been a lot of discussion for weeks about Oklahoma's offense. And to that, I just say, listen, football games aren't played on computers. And as much as we like to dive into the stats and the analytics and all that stuff, offensive football isn't played in a vacuum. It's not just 7-on-7 football. It's not flag. It's not we're playing Madden or NCAA 26 and just going out there trying to put up a bunch of yards. Oklahoma's just winning games, and it's not pretty. It's not something that you're going to tell your kids about, at least offensively 30 years from now. But I bet you'll be talking about your kids or telling your kids about this defense 30 years from now and they put Ty Simpson in a blender, how they made Joey Aguilar come back down to earth, how they basically made Ahmad Hardy a non-factor, how they took an LSU team and said, hey, we can't actually throw the ball down the field because we're going to get our quarterback killed. So that's what this defense has done. And yes, Alabama's offense has statistically been better, but Jay, there's not that big a separation between the two, at least in the raw numbers. Alabama's only got 30 more yards per game than Oklahoma in total offense. I mean, the points per game, Alabama's got a 5 point per game, bump on Oklahoma, but Oklahoma's 69th in the nation in total yards, while Oklahoma, 90th. But again, that's only a 36 yard per game difference between the two. That's not that much.
It really
and the
is.
Defensive differences between these two teams, to me, makes up the difference offensively.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. It's that statistically, we're not that far off from the rest of them. We really aren't. Like, people believe that Oklahoma is just abysmal on offense, and we've had our moments. We've had our moments where we can't score. We've had our moments where we turn the ball over. I do still feel like John Mateer was trying to make me look right and look good with my prediction on the season. It's hence why he did what he did. And it's okay. I guess I can appreciate the fact that he wants me to look good here in the media space. So, Matt, respect to you, John Mateer, for making sure that you got those 10 turnovers, 10 interceptions that made me spot on for the season. But no, it's funny that the fact that we're still overly downplaying because kind of how the offense performed. I mean, we did with almost 400 yards of total offense against LSU in the game, and people act like we only got 100 yards of offense. We were moving the ball. We had some big plays, but usually teams that put up those type of numbers typically have big plays that leads to the reason why they get those numbers. Yep. Go look at the Alabama-Georgia game, this past weekend in conference championship. Neither team got over 300 yards. It was really a massive defensive battle, and I'm still a little perturbed that the analyst and the talking heads felt the need to point out just how great of a game it is because it's all this defense. I'm just like, what am I, chopped liver? Like, is this not what we do? Is this not our thing? Is this not who we're made of? Is this not what this team was built to do? Was be out there as a defensive just juggernaut? Just disrespectful. So anyway, besides that point.
It's that wire where Marlo's talking to the security guard outside the convenience store, and the security guard's asking for respect, and Marlo's like, "You want it to be one way. Like, you want me to give you respect, but you don't want to give me any respect." That's the exact same thing about all this defensive talk. Like Joel Klatt talking about Indiana, Ohio State being this beautiful game because of all this defense.
All this defense.
They want it one way. They just don't want it to be Oklahoma's way. But the problem is, it's the other way. It's Oklahoma's defense that has been dictating things. It's Oklahoma's defense that has made that Alabama offense not look anything like they looked prior to playing the Oklahoma Sooners. Because what did they do against the Auburn Tigers, Jay? 280 yards of total offense. That's it. Struggled. But nobody
we did that.
How Alabama isn't a good offense and they don't deserve to win that game because they didn't gain more than 280 yards against the Auburn Tigers. No, everybody's like, oh, it's a rivalry win. It's a big win for Alabama, gets them into the playoffs, keeps them secure in the playoff no matter what happens against Georgia. But when it's Oklahoma, oh man, it's fluky. They got lucky. Their offense can't do anything. But as we saw in the wins over Missouri and LSU, it's, hey, they can strike at any time. As long as they're taking care of the football, they've got an opportunity to win games.
We did all this stuff before it was cool, man. That's kind of who we're built to be, man. We out here setting trends. We're trendsetters when it comes to that. Now, all jokes aside, we are. That's what we wanted to be. But that was what Brent Venables wanted to build anyway. You wanted to build a team that could have a defense like that because as we mentioned, as we've said numerous times here on the show, John, that when you get into the conference championship, late in the season, conference championship and playoffs, defenses are way more critical than anything. They're the things that will determine a win from a loss. They're the ones that in the clutch, that and then special teams, which is why you got titanium leg Sandell, because he's probably going to be the most important component of this team outside of the defense when you get into this game, because it's gonna, most of the game is gonna hinge on that leg, them kicking that field goal. As Ohio State showed you, they're one of the worst in the country at it, unfortunately, and they put the game on the leg of their kicker. And college kickers, man, not all of them can be titanium legs. So they tried to do that, and it failed, and that led to them losing the Big Ten championship game to Indiana, which is, I think that was their first one like ever or something like that. But I digress. You don't want to put it on the leg if you don't have to. And Oklahoma can do that because they got to do this hitting 50-yarder. So the defense is going to be critical. The defense is going to be the one component that would be the game changer in this against Alabama. So when I saw the spread being at 1.5, I was like, I can see it. It's going to be a close game. And honestly, I think a field goal is going to be the reason why either team wins it.
Yeah, and I feel just as confident about Oklahoma's defense being able to slow down Alabama, making them one-dimensional, which is where Brent Venables wants to put you. And if you do that, listen, Ty Simpson, he's capable of making all the throws. He's able to get the ball down the field. They got great receivers. But how often do you want him standing back there in the pocket against this Oklahoma Sooners defense? You don't want it to happen very often because that's not a great strategy for success.
No, it ain't.
What's been a great strategy for success, Jay? Playing true freshmen over the last couple of years. The Oklahoma Sooners have found some gems we'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
The holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts they'll actually love. And when you have both handled in one move, Omaha Steaks is the way to go. From hosting to gifting, they deliver the world's best steak experience right to your door. Because during the Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save on a huge way, $50 off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked On College listeners can get an extra $35 off with the code COLLEGE at checkout. And so I usually send out some sort of a meal deal to my family because I like to send them out some steaks and some good meats to enjoy, because what better way to celebrate the holidays than to have experience of good food? The steaks are perfectly aged and instantly tender. It's restaurant level at the house, and there's so many options. They'll toss in fillets, burgers, comfort foods, sides, desserts. You can build a box for just about anyone. So save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Sizzle All the Way week sale, and for an extra $35, use promo code college at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, code college.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Sooners with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to Locked On Sooners or check the link in the show notes to learn more. And listen, it's a great opportunity there. And Jay, some big time performances this season from true freshmen. Courtland Guillory and Michael Fasusi were named on 3 true freshman All-Americans on Monday.
That's crazy. And it's not shocking. It's 2 years in a row that we've had an offensive player and a defensive player named on the true freshman All-American. Ain't that
well,
like,
last year was
last year 2 defensive players. No, last year 2 different players.
Which is also crazy.
My bad.
That you've had 2 in 2 years.
But you got 2 players in 2 years that make freshman All-American teams. And this time it's an offensive lineman and a DB, another DB. So we got 2 DBs back-to-back years. Courtland Guillory joins Eli Bowen, right? Jay Valai out here just cooking, right? Like we had questions. We wondered, all right, is he ever going to figure it out in the DB space? That was been the spot where we spent the most time in the transfer portal when Valai first got here. And now it appears that we don't really need to because we've got dudes we got a conveyor belt back there building creative players to play corner for us. So I'm happy for that. And then, of course, the monster and Michael Fasusi coming out there, starting at the beginning of the season, tweaking his ankle against Michigan and playing ever since, still looking like a beast. Had his struggle moments, but at the same time, the best part is Oklahoma is showing a lot of recruits that if you can go out here and you snatch this job, it's yours. We'll play you as a freshman. We won't hesitate. We won't push back. If you got it, you're going to play.
Yeah, I think that's great recruiting paraphernalia right there, great recruiting pamphlets. If you come to Oklahoma in the spring, we'll say in the spring,
gotta come to spring,
and you work your tail off and you learn the playbook, you understand your responsibilities and the responsibilities of those around you, and you take care of your business in the classroom and off the field, you can earn an opportunity to play. Jaden Jackson and Eli Bowen showed it. Xavier Robinson played a key role in 2024 as a true freshman. We have Courtland Guillory and Michael Fasusi this year. And then again, Torrey Blaylock played a key role in the first half of the season as a true freshman. Oklahoma will play you. You just have to come work your tail off and show that you're ready to be on the field. And it is a testament though, to the recruiting efforts of Jay Valai. Listen, we sat here on this show talking about the biggest portal need that Oklahoma had going into the offseason was arguably cornerback, because we didn't know what they'd look like without all the experience of a Woody Washington or a Des Malone. Yes, you had Eli Bowen coming back, but you were hoping Gentry would stay healthy and things like that. And you just didn't know. You right. Hoped for development from Jacoby Johnson. You hoped for development from Davon Jordan and Eli Bowen. And then Eli Bowen went and got hurt during the spring. And you're like, oh man, spring portal, they really need to find a veteran cornerback. Well, no, they knew what they had in the cookie jar. And it was dudes that could come take your soul with Courtland Guillory, Davon Jordan, Eli Bowen, Jacoby Johnson. And Courtland, man, outside of that Auburn game, like that Auburn game was like the only game in which he looked like a true freshman. The rest of the way, he's looked like a true number 1 cornerback, and he's been awesome. Only twice this season has he allowed more than 2 catches, according to Pro Football Focus.
That's crazy.
His numbers are just fantastic, especially when you compare him to SEC. I'm going to see if I can find him real quick. But then on Michael Fasusi, just real quick, Jay, he is Oklahoma's highest graded run blocker, according to Pro Football Focus. But on Guillory, he's allowed just 1 touchdown on 44 targets this season. He's allowed an NFL passer rating of 68.9, which is really, really low. On 488 snaps, he has the 6th lowest completion percentage in the SEC among cornerbacks with at least 488 snaps. That's, dude, the kid is playing amazing ball right now.
Second on the team in total snaps for the season, 585. The dude has played, besides Peyton Bowen, who I think has played just about every single snap this season for the most part, he's been out there playing like crazy, and he's been balling out. So it's not a situation where you threw him out there and you had to keep pulling. No, that dude plays.
You weren't forced to play him.
You were not forced to play him. Well, correction. You were forced to play him because he's playing talented. He forced your hand. He told you, you're going to put me on the field, whether you like it or not. Now you're going to be that dude. Yeah. He's going to be the anchor for that secondary, him and Eli, all next season. It'll be those two. And then, of course, if Peyton Bowen comes back, you'll have those three really leading the way with the young rotation of safeties of Reggie Powers, Michael Boganowski, and Jaden Hardy over next season. You'll have your three-headed monster really playing. Yeah, they force hands. They force to say, no, you got to play me. You ain't got no choice. And then we still got the other young corners right behind him, and Malik Hawkins as well as Tristan Haynes, that I am so excited about getting out there on the field too. But the future is bright in our secondary. It's so impressive to see that, like I said, he was able to just force his way on there. And then Michael Fasusi, man, like he walks in, force his way to play. Then the guys come in to reserve him, get hurt, and then he's like, all right, Michael, you got to just keep playing. And he balls out. We have done a very good job as a staff of building the roster with players that are ready to play very early. And that's very hard to do. And again, that adds to just the recruiting pitch of, if you're ready to play, man, we're going to play you. So we didn't get it from Fogier because Fogier did not play until later in the season, but I expect him to be starting to get looked at for some awards over the next couple of years as well. And yeah, man. And then of course you have Febechi Wewu, who was up for the Worldsworth Award for the players that started, college players that started off as a walk-on. He was a finalist. He didn't win, but he was a finalist for the award, which is pretty dope for him. And he's actually considered the highest graded right guard in college football. He's up there in the top 3 per Pro Football Focus. Like, did anyone believe that he was going to get to that point? I mean, I did. I told y'all that it's going to take him a year in Bill Beatonbow's system and Bill Beatonbow's training. He was going to end up just like McCabe Tower, and here we are. Febechi Wewu showing out. And so we'll see what it looks like against Alabama coming up in a couple of weeks. But, man, I'm excited to see that we've got a bright future with these young players.
Yeah, and what's been exciting, Jay, also is that this coaching staff hasn't necessarily had short leashes. You know what I'm saying? Like, Michael Fasusi, he's had some up and down moments. Courtland Guillory after the Auburn game, if they would have gone to Jacoby or if they would have gone to Devon Jordan, somebody else, you might have understood it, right? Because it was just a rough one. Like the defensive pass interferences, getting mossed by Cam Coleman, which nobody should be concerned if a cornerback gets beat by Cam Coleman. That dude is just great. No. But they just continue to roll with it. They trusted that Courtland Guillory was going to be better because of it. They trusted that Michael Fasusi was going to be better because of the ups and downs that he faced. And both guys have gotten better as the year has gone along and are cornerstones for this team and why they've been able to make the college football playoff. I mean, you don't get here unless Michael Fasusi steps up and plays the way that he played, because you didn't have Logan Howland for a lot of the year because he was injured a lot. Courtland Guillory, he steps up and he becomes kind of a shutdown corner. That game against, he had Ole Miss. He kept you in that game because he only allowed 2 catches on 8 targets. Like, they went after him and he stood tall in that game. Like, that was the Courtland Guillory, I'm him game of his true freshman season.
Yeah, they went straight. They gunned for him and he didn't back down. It wasn't pretty. It had its bad moments and it had some really good moments, but that's what you would expect. Is that was what, the 4th game of the season, and he's over here trying to figure it out. And what did he do, John? He figured it out. Figured it out to be a freshman All-American. So that told me everything I need to know about his mentality, his game, and his dedication to it. And we found a dog, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and you can't always guarantee that guys are going to become true freshman All-American, but Oklahoma's recruited some 2026 guys that are going to have a chance. We'll see who that's going to be, but
Yeah.
they got some pretty talented dudes coming in the spring. Eric Morris, Oklahoma State's new head coach. He's not afraid of the smoke. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup even more realistic instead of impossible. So pick a game, tap a section, and you have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for fine print. And the seat view is a game changer. You literally see what the pitch looks like from your exact seat before you buy. And with games happening in venues across North America, that's a huge feature because you aren't going to know exactly what your stadium is going to be like until you get there. So you got to use Game Time to check that out. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go Game Time. Go Game Time. And again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. And again, thanks for tuning in to Locked On Sooners. So Jay, Eric Morris was introduced as Oklahoma State's head coach on Monday, and he was asked about Bedlam, and he didn't mince words. He was not afraid to speak on it. And he said, "I welcome that game with open arms."
Y'all hear that? Somebody ain't afraid of the smoke.
Chad
Somebody's ready
Weiberg.
to go ahead and play. You hear that? You hear that? Hey, I mean, I am not anti having that game return. Do I care that much? Not really. Be absolutely honest. But it'd be nice to have because it just, it gives Oklahoma a guaranteed P4 opponent every year, similar to what Florida does, similar to what South Carolina has, Georgia has with Georgia Tech. That's just kind of guarantees it based on the parameters of how the conferences, how the SEC wants a minimum P4 opponent to go along with the new 9 game conference schedule, in which they always require you to play at least one P4 opponent, and Oklahoma's always found a way to play one, maybe 2. So it's not like it's a situation where we weren't doing this, but I'm not opposed to it coming back. How you feel about it, John? You want it to come back?
I love it. Yeah, bring it back. So here's the Fuller quote. He said, "I'd love to get on the phone with anybody that we know that could help us bring that game back. If they're asking if Coach Morris welcomes that game, I'd welcome it with open arms." And so would I. I like in-state rivalries. I like this kind of thing, like Texas A&M playing every year. Love that. That's one of those games that should happen on a regular basis. The Longhorn Network screwed it up for them and for A&M to not have that. No, Texas fans, I'm not letting you off the hook. You're going to say A&M left, but it's really the Longhorn Network. So these games matter. Colorado State, like it may not be Oklahoma's primary rival, but it's still a matchup that I think creates buzz in the state of Oklahoma and just makes football better in Oklahoma. I know that Sooner fans are like, "Oh, we don't need it. It's not really a rivalry." It's fine. I get it. You can have that stance. I'm not going to argue with it because Oklahoma has dominated the series for most of its tenure. Only at the last few years of the game did Oklahoma State kind of even some things out just in recent history. So I get you. I totally get you. At the same time, I just think that for the economy of Oklahoma, for just creating more buzz about football in Oklahoma, I think this is a game that moves the needle in a way that I don't know who Oklahoma State played on the last weekend of November. For them, it won't move the needle as much as Oklahoma visiting Stillwater. Yes, Oklahoma hosting LSU on the last weekend of the season. That's huge. That's big time. That is that's not, I wouldn't say LSU's a blue blood, but that is a power matchup. Whenever the game is played, Oklahoma having Oklahoma State in Norman, to me, is better than having Houston come to Norman or SMU come to Norman or pick just a random P4 opponent. It's a game that moves the needle.
To me, I want to go ahead and just make it 2. Grab them with somebody else. I still want the Michigan type game.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of that.
Ohio State on occasionally. Give me some Washington coming to town. That would be fun. That's a little bit different. Oregon, let's do that again. We haven't done that in forever, even though, we're still pretty jaded about the last time that they showed up and decided to steal the ball, on a fumble that we had the ball in our hands and we walked away with. But, I wouldn't mind seeing a team like them. Arizona State, hey, let's do it. Yeah. Bring that stuff too. But at the same time, I'm not going to fight it. Let's put it this way. You won't hear me say, "Oh, absolutely not." I don't care.
He's going to give your boy John a bone on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that. Yeah. I'm not going to fight you on it. I'm completely indifferent in the entire circumstance. But hey,
I want it back because I wanted to kind of like, hey, Mike Gundy, you were just being petty for the last several years. But now there's a coach that's here that's cool with it. He's not afraid of the smoke. He's not afraid of playing Oklahoma every year. He's not butthurt about Oklahoma leaving. Like, it creates a little bit more, positive momentum just for that program. Because listen, what happened since Oklahoma lost to Oklahoma State in Bedlam, and since Bedlam was no longer off the schedule? Oklahoma State fell into a level of football darkness that we haven't seen, at least in my lifetime, watching college football. Like, I've never seen Oklahoma State this bad.
Oh, it's awful too. They're terrible. Have they won a P4 game since Arkansas?
They beat Arkansas. I don't know if they've won a P4 game since then. They haven't won a Big 12 game.
Yeah, well, then they haven't won a P4 game since Arkansas last year.
Yeah. And I know people think I'm crazy for this take, Jay. But Oklahoma State playing Oklahoma, it gives them something to chase. If you have like siblings in your household, or you got a big brother, you're always trying to beat big brother. You're doing everything you can. You're working your tail off, whether it's on the sticks, playing video games, running races, out on the hoop, whatever it is, you're trying to beat big brother. You want to do everything you can to beat big brother. Since they haven't had big brother to chase, they have been rudderless and directionless. And that's what's led to their program falling into the pit of despair that it's become.
Wow. They beat Arkansas and have lost every game except for against Tennessee, Martin, since.
And so I'm not a charity case for Oklahoma State, but they need this game. They need to get Bedlam on.
20 out of 21 games.
They need something for their fan base, for their donors, for the kids in the state of Oklahoma that don't get offered by Oklahoma, that come to Oklahoma State. They need something to rally around. And it's always been around facing Oklahoma and beating Oklahoma. That was the drive. That was the thing that gave them direction, gave them purpose. And they don't have that. And here we are.
I knew it was bad. This is way worse than I would have expected. So anyway, but like you said, to me, I like the idea of doing this. I think it'd be a good idea to bring back that in-state camaraderie and banter.
Yeah.
Something we can care about. I mean, I think Eric Morris is going to do a really good job there, though. I always thought he was a great, fantastic hire. Felt like he was, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't get a look in the SEC, truth be told. Arkansas, you probably should have looked at him. That's the one you should have found a way to get the contract going or whatnot. He would have been excellent over there. Mainly because he does a really good job of finding diamonds in the rough. Mm-hmm. And you're going to need that as you're trying to rebuild your program. I mean, Oklahoma State's quote unquote has money. I just don't know if they're going to spend it anymore after what went down in this last debacle. But hey, figure that out, man. That will be a good one for you all. And I mean, I like Eric Morris. I think he's a great hire for them.
And to your point, Jay, about having Oklahoma State and still scheduling massive P4 games with a Michigan or Ohio State, or shoot, Indiana's a good program now, or playing Clemson down the road like Oklahoma's got on the schedule. And Nebraska is also on the non-conference schedule later in the decade. Conference football or college football playoff expansion is coming.
Yep.
And
unfortunately.
So even if you have an extra P4, say you play 11 Power 4 games, a 9-3 team is going to get into a college football playoff when it's 16 teams or 24 teams. Like, that is coming down the road, whether we like it or not. That's what's going to come. And so don't be concerned about having more challenging games on your schedule, because actually having more challenging games on your schedule is going to help differentiate you from the teams that don't have a challenging Power 4 schedule.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's actually very true.
Like, look at Notre Dame. They're being held back right now because their schedule is cheeks.
Cheeks,
That's why they didn't make college football playoff. So anyway, that said, I don't want my program to be afraid of the smoke. Sometimes it's going to bite you. Sometimes you're going to be a beneficiary of it. But if you develop the program you think you should have at Oklahoma, then it shouldn't matter. You should be flirting with 9, 10, 11 wins every single season anyway.
That's true. That's a very good point. You should. And let's get on the phone and see if we can get something happening in the next 3 years.
There you go. Joe C, as your final act as the Oklahoma Sooners athletic director. Let's make this happen. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks for tuning into the show today. We're looking forward to just talking more about Oklahoma and the college football playoff and the latest in recruiting. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Sooners so you get all the latest episodes. And did you make a Locked On Sooners Spotify Wrapped? If you listen on Spotify, prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Football. Again, he's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. I'm John Williams. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll check you then. Boomer.
Sooner.